Hi, Francisco. Great to have you here. Just for our audience, Francisco Veloso is the Dean of Imperial Business College, UK, and we are privileged to have him here with us today at the AIMA Senior Leadership Retreat in Goa. So welcome, Francisco, to India, to Goa, and to AIMA.
Thank you very much for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm delighted and honored by the invitation.
So we just finished a very interesting session with Francisco on digitization. And taking it further, I have a couple of questions for you. How is digitization or digital transformation changing the business scenario across the world? What is your advice to new age tech businesses?
I think it's changing the landscape in very fundamental ways. Certainly is increasing efficiency in dramatic terms. And so we're talking about, for firms that really implement digitization, we're talking about things that are 100 times faster or more efficient, so there's a very significant impact there. The second way in which is changing is basically by combining more products and services, because the data that you get is more valuable. When you're shipping a product, for example, an industrial product, like a jet engine, you collect a lot of data, and that data is now becoming so valuable that the firm starts by just leasing, the product and getting to be able to continue to work with that data, and that becomes a different business model, right? So the second way these things are evolving is that it's allowing different business models to evolve, even for existing businesses that are exploring the way that they can commercialize their products and services in a different way because of the digital tools. And the third way in which it's having an impact is by allowing completely different digital business models that did not exist before. So things like, for example, combining an artificial intelligence engine that makes automated translation, and then you link that to a crowdsourcing platform to make the various last bits of alterations that typically your automated platform does not allow, and that makes the whole service of translation much more efficient in a way that you could not do before. And so you have these new different business models that are emerging and that are quite important. So there are these three different impacts: efficiency, changes in the existing business models, and completely new business models that are emerging.
The opportunities are endless and boundless, and I think you brought that out very well in your presentation today. The delegates refused to leave the room till we had to tell them to go. Going further, what can we learn from the countries which are digitally evolved? I mean, I think the West is, and China for that matter, is way ahead. You were talking about health services in UK. I happened to visit Ping and Good Doctor, which is, I think, the same model. In fact, they have their own doctors which take the calls, and it's a digital platform. And I think that's also has become a billion-dollar industry. Mm-hmm. So what can we learn from China? What can we learn from the West?
I think the interesting thing on the digital transformation is that everybody is learning from everybody and can learn from everybody. The interesting thing is precisely because some of the very interesting business models that are emerging and experimentations are not necessarily appearing in the West. They're appearing more towards the East, maybe India, maybe China. And so what I think is interesting is to pay attention to industries and to firms that are reshaping their industries using digital tools. I think that one of the very interesting characteristics of this digital transformation that's taking place is that it creates less of this divide that the most innovative solutions and the first solutions are appearing in the West, and then they're migrating to the East or being adopted in emerging economies. I think that depending on the sector and depending on the nature of the problem, a new firm, very promising and very successful, may emerge certainly in the West, and they are, and they will continue to, but they can emerge in China or they can emerge in India. And so I think it is something to pay attention. As I said, it could be remote doctors, or it could be basically image recognition, or it could be distributed provision of electricity, for example, at low cost. I mean, those are a variety of things that can happen in different ways around the world, and what is different now is precisely that I think we all can and should be learning from each other much more than in the past.
Thanks so much. It's exciting times ahead, and I hope we continue our association going forward. Thank you so much for joining us at AIMA today.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
And have a wonderful evening ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you.